up, everyone? It's KaBlamDayud. So basically I created this bass rack that I now use on all my basses whenever I'm creating sounds from scratch. And I just figured I'd show you guys and give you a tour on how I made it. So without further ado, let's get into the studio, shall we? Alright, so you're probably asking yourself, what is a bass rack? Well, if you are a fan of Virtual Riot, which pretty much I really like his music, but if you are a fan of Virtual Riot, you know that he uses this thing called the fat rack, which usually helps make his sounds a lot more denser and louder and stuff. Well, the bass rack is actually similar to the fat rack, but the one thing that makes it different is the fact that it actually has all the added effects that you would normally want to use in your own style of making basses and stuff when it comes to post-processing. Now, the bass rack I've made is basically composed of all these effects that for the past 2 years I've been making my own signature sounds with. So I decided to just put them all into just one big old effect chain and just go ham now with making my songs and stuff. Alright, so let's take a look at this, shall we? And here it is, guys. This is the KBD bass rack, version 1.9. You should have actually seen this when it was in version 1.0. It literally was just these two knobs right here, fat and stereo. And it basically just functioned just like Virtual Riot's fat rack and stuff. But over the past month, I've actually been adding like all these other effects that literally have just brought out my own signature use of effects and stuff. Alright, so let's take a tour of this. So the fat knob here actually helps distort the sound and actually make it more dense. The stereo knob here basically just widens the sound, and this usually just only affects the mid to higher frequencies. I didn't have it touch the lower frequencies because you probably don't want your lower frequencies to go stereo. You want that to remain mono. Metalize here is basically just a fast delay that makes the sound a lot more metallic, hence that's why I called it metalize. Space here is literally just, you know, regular reverb. My favorite part of this whole rack is the shifter side right here. And this shifter actually uses ImageLine's very own frequency shifter that they just made for the newer versions of FL Studio. So what I do with the shifter is I turn no sub on, which literally just cuts out the whole low end sub so that way you don't affect that. And the frequency knob here basically just shifts the frequencies up and down, and this is the midpoint right here. This is just a switch that switches from 20 kilohertz. 20 kilohertz is on the bottom and 200 hertz is on the top. I know it's a little bit lopsided in terms of the labeling and stuff, but that's how it works. And finally, the gain knob here is literally just to boost the sound even more after it's been post-processed by all these other knobs. So let's actually try this on a couple of sounds and stuff. I'm gonna load up a Serum. I'm gonna go to one of my presets here. Let's see, we'll try Bass House 2. Alright, cool, that's pretty good. Load that in there, then we'll drop the new bass rack on there, and let's see what the knobs do. That's actually giving it extra distortion. That's the metalize right there. That just sounds dope, I'm not gonna lie. Right, then we got space here, which is reverb. Nice. Then for the fun part, here's the shifter part. Cut out the sub. Put this to 200 hertz. Hey! Nice, and then we just turn that to 20 kilohertz, and this is what happens. Ooh! Nice! See, I always love this one, man. You can get so many good sounds just by shifting the frequencies around. And then finally, we have the gain knob, which just boosts it up. Nice. Let's reset all these. Let's try it on a different bass and see how it affects that. Gnarlification. Let's see this one. This is it without it. Now with the bass rack on, get the no sub off. So already it kind of sounds dense on its own. Now let's add some fatness on it. cool in stereo. Oh yeah, now that's really fat right there. And then we can add the no sub on there and try the frequency shifter. This is 20 kilohertz. Play the 200 hertz. Nice, man. So this is it without it. This is it with it. But yeah, freaking this has been really fun to make and stuff. This took me about, I would say, almost like 3 weeks to almost a month to nail down and stuff. But if you guys really want to see the map of how the bass rack looks from the patcher side and stuff, this is the whole map right here. So basically how this whole map works is this is all going into one EQ and stuff. These fruity envelope controllers are controlling like just the right amount of reverb, right amount of frequency shifting, and shifting from 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz to 200 hertz and stuff. It basically controls all that stuff. That's basically what those fruity envelope controllers are for. But it passes through this one EQ here, which is directly connected to the no sub knob and everything. As soon as you turn the no sub on and everything, it just cuts all the lower frequencies, and that's basically going through this EQ. Then after this, the sound is being split up into all these different things and stuff. So his first one is going through a fruity wave shaper and a blood overdrive, and both of those are connected to the fat knob. Then it's being fed over here, and this is actually cutting out all the lower frequencies and keeping basically the mid frequencies to the high frequencies, and that's being fed through a stereo enhancer, which in turn gives it the stereo effect. Then it's being routed down here to another EQ, which is basically the same as the stereo EQ, and that's being fed through the delay, which is a very fast delay, and this is responsible for the metalize. And then of course you got your fruity reverb, which is coming out, and that's just giving it the space. So basically once you get everything right here situated, now every single one of these are being fed into one EQ, which basically is boosting the low ends as well as taming the higher ends to mid frequencies and all stuff that tend to ring in your ears and stuff. And then that's being fed into the frequency shifter, which in return that's affecting the shifter and stuff, which then is being routed into a multi-band compressor, which I basically used as like a mock OTT. And then finally that's being fed to a soft clipper, so that way it maintains the loudness without getting limited by a limiter and stuff. And then finally being fed out into the actual FL Studio chain. And that's basically my bass rack and stuff. I'm gonna be releasing this as a free patcher preset pretty soon. I'm just making some slight adjustments to it, but I'll definitely let you guys know when I'm done, and I'll definitely let you know when you guys can download it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see y'all in the next one.